Ladies and gentlemen, it's better to debate a matter without settling it
than to settle a matter without debating it.
This is the show that gives you over 500 schools and brings them on one platform to air out their ideologies the best way they can through debate. This is a Great Debaters Contest Season 8. I am your host, Chris Boro.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. And today, since we eat to live, the motion states, international cooperation is the only solution to food insecurity in Africa.
In the proposition, we have Light Academy.
And in the opposition, we have Allidina Visram High School. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Nishike mkono kaka yangu, nishike mkono dada yangu, chakula sipati bila we. Nishike mkono, nishike mkono. Ladies and gentlemen, in front of you is Wendy Akinyi from Light Academy, and I am here today to strongly propose the motion that states international cooperation is the only, and I repeat, only solution to food insecurity in Africa. Have you ever been food insecure? International cooperation refers to the interaction of a group of persons representing various nations in a pursuit of a common goal or interest. A solution is a means of solving a problem when faced with a difficult situation. Only means that that is the best solution. Food insecurity is a state when people do not have reliable access to sufficient nutritious food. The World Food Summit of 1996 defined food security as existing when people have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that more than 600,000 Kenyans were facing food insecurity? This was in February when farmers were preparing their lands for farming. The government of Kenya promised to release 50 million, but this was yet to be released. The governor of West Pokot, Titus Loti, stated that they had started releasing 4,000 bags of maize, but this was not enough. And what did they do? They called on to international corporations. The first international corporation, which is the Food Organization, came in, the Action Against Hunger. And to my surprise, ladies and gentlemen, what did it do? It ensured that 275,552 people were food secure. Moreover, another corporation stepped in, which is Feed the Children, and it ensured that the children had access to food and water. Moreover, the World Food Program worked hand in hand with Feed the Children to ensure that they served regular meals to 170 schools. Doesn't this go to prove that international cooperation is the only solution to food insecurity in Africa? My worthy opponents, don't you think you should come together? Don't you think international cooperation is the only way forward? And I remain to be Wendy Akinyi from Light Academy to strongly propose this motion. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
My name is Farouk Rajab from the Allidina Visram High School, opposing the motion international cooperation is the only solution to food insecurity in Africa. Mr. Bukhari Tijani, who is the FAO Assistant Director and Regional Representative for Africa, said the number of undernourished people rose from 200 million to 224 million, accounting to 25% of the 815 million people undernourished in the world. Only 4% of cropland in sub-Saharan Africa is irrigated compared to the global level of 20%. This is the status of food insecurity in Africa. And if we keep on hanging on to one solution, that's international cooperation, it's not working. The speaker before me just talked about a county government. Brings me to my first point. Why do we need international cooperation where we can cooperate internally? How? We cooperate internally through the ministries, through the national government and the county governments, through all state agencies involved in planning, through the private sector and government. We, as a country in Kenya, have devolution. Let's use it. It works, and all of us know that works. And that's the only way we can deal with food insecurity in our country. On the other hand, till when are we going to begin addressing our leadership problems? Why do we also have to hang into international cooperation where we have corrupt leaders? The UN Economic Commission for Africa estimates that the continent loses 50 billion annually to schemy deals through corruption, where we have African leaders struggling to build schools, roads, name it. Just an example, the Konza Technology City, where we have millions of Africans struggling to acquire food. It's not logical. We have to get into the ground. Let's see how is our attitude towards these leaders. How do the leaders approach our problems? Because most of our leaders look into the forthcoming general elections and don't have interest of the citizens at heart. That's been my time. Thank you.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
If it wasn't for the international corporations, there would be more fruit in a rich man's shampoo than in a poor man's plate. My name is Hanan Alavi, representing Light Academy, and standing before you today to propose the motion that states international cooperation is the only solution to food insecurity in Africa. Listen to that. International cooperation sounds like music to my ears, and I hope it will be to you too after these 3 minutes. I would first like to start by opposing what Speaker 1 has just said. He's saying that if we had unity in Africa, and we would be able to solve the food insecurity in Africa. But then, why haven't we seen these solutions working? Why aren't they working? Why hasn't the solution happened, and why haven't we implemented it in Africa? Because countries in Africa where people spread love by saying, I love you like corruption, these kind of solutions will not be able to work. We need international corporations. We need them here to help us. For example, when insecurity in Africa, in the Horn of Africa, and conflicts in Somalia had affected 13 million people, the World Food Programme did not fail to provide food for the 5 countries in the Horn of Africa, which are Kenya, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Somalia, and Uganda. They were there to provide food for them. And not just food, let me tell you. They provided food that were rich in nutrients. Food for the young children that were ages of 2, where they need the food at that time to grow their bodies and their minds. They need food, rich in nutrients, keep in mind. They provided food by all means, by water, by land, by air. They didn't fail when other countries were not there to help. They were there for us. In also Kenya, in our country, Kenya, when they provided 2 million emergency food for the people in the Dadaab and Kakuma camps. They were there to help us. It's unfortunate that my worthy opponents are ungrateful to what international corporations have done for us. And sometimes in countries where they cannot help themselves. For example, in Zimbabwe, when there was severe drought, no other country in Africa was there to help them. But the World Food Programme, USAID, and the UN were there without fail to help them. They provided 127 million emergency food assistance to the countries. And not only that, they provided seeds, fertilizers for them to encourage the promotion of agricultural recovery. They provided the seeds for them to start their land, to grow it, to recover it, to make it better. They were there to help us when the other neighboring countries in Africa were not. So I hope you are convinced that the only solution to food insecurity in Africa is and will always will be international cooperation. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
My name is Soleh Khaleh from Allidina, Visram, here to oppose the motion that says international cooperation is the only solution to food insecurity in Africa. But before that, I would like to cross-examine her. You talked about the food crisis in Somalia, but aren't you forgetting that in between 2007 and 2008, when there was a food crisis in Kenya, the EU, international cooperation, they did nothing, and we were there. They were supposed to hold our hands and guide us, but they did nothing. Till when are we going to hang on to one solution that's proved to be not working? I would say we should invest more in agricultural research. Take a country, Kenya. How much money have we been allocated in the Ministry of Agriculture? A lot. What are we doing about it? Agriculture accounts for almost a huge percent of our economy. Why are we stingy in investing more of agricultural sector? There should be an increased emphasis on agricultural research and development. Why? Research leads to the use and production of more efficient food technology, food security, fertilizers, pesticides, equipment, machinery, and in the end leads to an increase in food security. Look at South Africa. South Africa are putting in a lot of money into the education, the universities. They have so many universities that are recognized in the world. They're investing in their education. They're investing in education and they're giving free credits to do agricultural research. Provision of extension services by the government. This was there a long time ago, but it seems to have disappeared. What do I mean by providing extension services? The African governments should provide services such as advice, research, information dissemination, storage, and preservation of farm produce. Extension services are vital for the development of agriculture in a country. I would want to stand my ground on the part of information dissemination. Many farmers do not have access to information. Some of us in the rural areas, look at the vast Africa. Technology has left us. Most farmers are not at par with the technology of these days. The government should put more effort in sending out information. For example, there could be information about a farmers' conference, an agricultural show, a new breed that has been brought up. All this is not happening. Finally, I would want to talk about urban agriculture. For example, we have the new one in Kenya, hydroponics. This is the growth of plants without soil. This is beneficial and it can be done anywhere. Thank you.
The proposers have been asked, how does response to episodes of hunger in our country by international bodies, whereby they bring food to the people who are suffering from hunger, help us or prevent long-term crisis? The opposers have been asked if the government indeed has put in place effective intervention measures against hunger, then why are places such as North and Northeastern Kenya still suffering from hunger? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to respond.
My name is Karen Kimani from Light Academy, and I'm here to strongly propose a motion that states that international cooperation is the only solution to food insecurity in Africa. First off, to answer your question, I think the general public misunderstand the term international cooperation as people coming to give us food, as people put it. Let me tell you that international cooperation is, in fact, as my fellow proposer also said, countries coming together to find solutions for certain issues coming up in the world, in this case, food insecurity. International cooperation has, in fact, taught people how to better their methods of agriculture so that they can be able to enable food security in their countries. For example, South Sudan have been able to produce their own food in the Baal Gazelle region. Over 77,000 farmers are now food secure because of countries like the UK and organizations like the Food Agricultural Program and WFP coming together to teach them agricultural methods and even funding them with the funds that they need to be able to produce seeds and to be able to better the situation. Also in our own country, Kenya, 650,000 farmers living in arid areas have gone from making nothing per day to making $150 per day. Let me tell you, if you say that international cooperation isn't teaching people how to better themselves, that is a lie. Also, let us not even move far. Let us look at our own communities, like the East African community. Yesterday, I recall eating a very, very sweet banana, and I guess from the way it tasted, I can guess that it was from Uganda. Let me tell you, this has come because of the East African community, which brings countries in East Africa together by them exchanging food and other products that other countries may not have. Let me tell you, this has brought tremendous developments in our country. But as I said, I was enjoying a banana yesterday. What if Uganda came and helped my fellow friends who are starving, they're in hunger, they're food insecure? What if they came in and they helped them? They would definitely be able to overcome that situation. Even in Kenya, Israelites are helping the farmers in Ukambani. They're giving them irrigation methods for them to be able to produce food and for them to be able to produce fruits, because they believe that we as Africans do have the potential, but we just need their help. Also, some regions in the world are very unstable. We all know that Africa has very many conflicts. Let us not forget that you cannot go a day without hearing such and such terrorist attack happen in this country. This country and this country is going through some internal conflicts. Let us not forget that that happens in Africa, and it is a fact. Some regions in the world they do not have the means, they don't have the funds, and the government at this point do not even care about the citizens because they are currently at war. So many humanitarian organizations have come together to help these countries to produce food, to give them money, to give them the funds so that they do not have to continue saving the same people all the time. As the wise Alexander Fleming once said, the more complex the world gets, the more difficult it is to complete something without cooperation of others. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
I'd like to answer the question first by a lady. She said that Turkana is in Kenya. The government is allocating money to build silos, but the food is not getting there. People are still starving. My answer is, roads are not there to link Nairobi to Turkana. Roads are not there to link Mombasa to Turkana. Roads are not there to link Kakamega to Turkana. That's the problem. We need roads. We need leaders who are going to step up, build roads, get people fed, and not talk about 2022 politics. I remember when I was a child, I told my grandfather, Grandpa, I love Lisa. I want to marry Lisa. I was 12 years old. My grandfather told me, grandson, you need to study. And that taught me one thing. It taught me to learn how to crawl first, learn how to walk, then learn how to limp and jump. Look at what Africa is growing. USA, I'll start with the US. US grows corn, soybeans, grains such as wheat, oats, barley, and peas, beans, and rice. Kenya grows tea, coffee, cabbages, onions, mangoes. And the Netherlands grows sugar, beetroots, potatoes, wheat, barley. Malawi grows tobacco, tea, cotton, groundnuts, sugar, and coffee. All that is exported. Look at the contrast. The US grows food to eat. Africa grows foods to export. The Netherlands is coming to Kenya, and the Netherlands is not teaching Kenyans to use hydroponics to grow wheat or grow some crop that would feed us, like beans. It's teaching us to grow flowers so that you can take them to them. And they mentioned foreign intervention. They are coming in Israel, but it's teaching us how to grow tea and coffee so that it can go back to them. That's not what Africa needs. Africa needs to grow foods that would be used domestically, not for export. Export is temporary. We have millions of people who are starving in Africa. International intervention is not the solution. We need to step up, prioritize the right things, and only then can Africa talk of being food insecure. My second point, we have conflicts in northern Nigeria, northeastern Nigeria with Boko Haram. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying. The DRC, since 1990s, since Mobutu Sese Seko, 6 million citizens have perished. Political instability is there in Africa. The Sudan is in crisis. South, north, there is war everywhere. Somalia, Liberia, Angola, there is war in Africa. Africa needs to prioritize peace. Now, if we are going to choose to export our things and depend on those grants, 66% of Kenya's funding is from aid. China is funding us. The Sierra Leone lost its spot because of China grants. Well, we are losing our pot too. 66%, that's too much. I call this the road to Shanghai. Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start living. Michael Jackson, wherever you are, rest in peace. Together, we can do so much. Alone, we can do so little. For no man is an island. My esteemed judges, my worthy opponents, and the audience, let us work together to ensure that every family has food on the table. I repeat, for no man is an island. Let us work together to fight food insecurity. Let us work together to ensure that we don't hear that children are dying or people from different regions are dying. We can help each other. Together, we can do so much more. And I hope that my colleagues and I have convinced you, judges. Thank you.
Opposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
Thomas from the Allidina Visram High School here to again oppose this motion and holding banners, talking of aid, grants. We are doing one thing, which is 7 letters. We are begging. Let's not turn Africa into a begging continent. Africa holds resources more than any other continent in this world. Let's not beg. It's patronizing. It's patronizing to watch people protest in the cities of DRC, in the cities of Kenya, asking for money, for grants. We can generate our own money. We can grow crops. Let's step up. Let's have more farmers. Let's have leaders who are there to do the right thing. And let's have a food-secured Africa, not a begging Africa.
Light Academy, Wendy Akinyi, you did well. Good introduction, quite elaborate, relevant examples, again, beautifully brought out. That was good, well done. However, you could have done more, maybe to tell us what else, apart from just food, how else can international organizations come in, for example, to assist in making the the African countries more stable? Again, in essence, that would help in food security too. Again, Hanan, fair cross-examination. Advanced your argument well to support the motion with adequate examples. So you did even better to bring out the points on supporting the motion more than you did while you cross-examined the first speaker on the opposing side. Karen Kimani, you answered the question well, composed, gave adequate examples, quite convincing. Well done to the team.
Farouk, good introduction. I liked how you are bringing in the points. I mean, you had a good mastery of content, talking about the good examples and poverty levels. Passion and conviction could be felt. Otherwise, you're good. Swale, rebattling also did you some injustice. I believe you could have done more on that. I mean, but your mastery of topic was okay. The examples you gave, like investing education, technology, extension, and all that, were on point. Thomas Mukwana, gentleman, you are an eclectic debater. You just moved me. I like it. Kudos, you're the pillar to that team.
This was quite a heated debate, but regardless of the results, don't let the win go to your head, nor the loss to your heart. Light Academy, the judges awarded you 71.5%. Let's give them a round of applause. And the difference is 0.5%. Allidina Visram, you earned yourself 72%, making you the winners of this debate. Congratulations to both teams for an exemplary performance.
The debate may be over, but the conversation still continues across our social media platforms with the hashtag GDC for SDGs. Remember, we not only encourage debates around sustainable development goals, but we'd like to challenge each and every school to take up these goals and implement them not only in their schools, their societies, but also in the country, so as to make Kenya a better place in order to achieve the Vision 2030.
That's it for today at the Great Debaters Contest. I have been your host, Esperanza Kapanga.
And I am Chris Buru. Don't touch that dial.